Okay, it's raining and it's actually really bright in the sky. I don't think it's going to stop though. And what did I read today? How about this one? More news about people getting in trouble for flying drones. This one says, man faces jail for flying drone over Hangout Fest. Why it's illegal. So what's going on here, huh? Was it super, I guess, dangerous for whatever the person was doing? It says most of the dozens of arrests made during last weekend's Hangout Festival in Gulf Shores were that one might expect at an event of that sort: drug use, public intoxication, disorderly conduct, and the like. But one arrest caught our eye: prohibited operation of an unmanned aircraft system. Detective Carl Wistruck of the Gulf Shores Police Department explained that it's illegal to fly a drone over Gulf Shores beaches as well as over venues where events like a Hangout Fest are being held. That's kind of an interesting point actually, which I'll get into. It says a 25-year-old Foley man, however, either unaware of the law or in disregard of it, flew his drone over the festival, not once but twice, saying, quote, "This gentleman flew his drone over the event the day prior." Wistrick said, "He actually buzzed our police drone, like in Top Gun. I don't know if he knew it was our drone or not, but probably not a smart thing to do." The next day, the man did it again. This time, police were waiting. Through some resources, we had been able to identify where the drone was launched from the first day, Wistrick said, so we waited. Sure enough, the man launched his drone over the festival again the next day. Already aware of his location the previous day, Wistrick said they quickly confirmed his location the second time and officers arrived to take him into custody. So it's one of those things where they were pretty much, I guess, stalking the guy too. It says in 2018, Gulf Shores adopted laws prohibiting drones from being flown over public beaches without a permit from the city and the Federal Aviation Administration. The penalty for violating the ordinance is a fine of up to $500 and jail time up to 6 months. Can you imagine that? Flying a drone just around like a beach area and getting 6 months in jail for that? At the same time, it makes me wonder if this is accurate because, as you know, in a lot of cases, people make all these, let's just say, local ordinance or laws that conflict with federal laws, where realistically it should be about where you can land and take off. So it makes me wonder, how many people did they, let's just say, quote, prosecute in this way? And let's just assume they flew it from their own property or something like that, like a micro drone and all that. Neighboring Orange Beach has similar laws, with recreational drones prohibited above the beaches there. Commercial and special event drone usage is allowed, but requires a permit from the city. Commercial real estate drone filming requires permission from the city and an annual fee. Is that what it comes down to again? Like with this example, it's all about making money and so forth. Can you imagine that? Like for real estate, you're just filming your own property and nope, you're gonna need like a license and an annual fee, for example, to be able to do that. It says Alabama has no statewide drone regulations, but the federal government has drone laws that apply nationwide. Hence the point I'm wondering whether or not this is actually valid overall. It says flying a drone as a hobbyist anywhere in the US requires the operator to take the FAA's recreational UAS safety test. Operators are also required to follow the FAA's recreational model aircraft rules. Wistrick said arrests such as the one during the Hangout Fest will likely become more common in the coming years. For us, it's about safety and security, he said. You can't tell in this day and age what a drone may be used for. People are using drones for all sorts of things these days, good and bad. And then they say Wistrick noted that Jack Edwards Airport is nearby, requiring even the police to get permission before launching their drones. Yeah, here in Canada, it's been mostly the officials, for example, the police crashing their drones into huge manned aircraft and all that. But yeah, it makes you wonder in this case how valid it is legally or what they said. Is it just one of those cases where no one's ever challenged it? Because you can imagine trying to fight people in these ways, it costs a lot of time and money too. I will assume though, like the place the guy took off was around, let's just say the quote beach area, in which in that case, I guess he's kind of out of luck if they decide to pretty much throw the book at him. And you know, the company Boeing has been in the news a lot recently, not in a good way, with their planes for whatever reason falling out of the sky and all that, bad maintenance. How about this one? This one says Boeing's $240 million investment in Quebec lands on drones, greener planes. Boeing Co. pledged $240 million toward a Montreal area aerospace cluster, anchoring a provincial plan that aims to make Quebec a global launchpad for development of drones and greener aircraft. The beleaguered plane maker's commitment compromises a big chunk of the $450 million in contributions from the private sector and the province towards an aero innovation zone announced at an industry conference on Tuesday. It also makes good on a portion of Boeing's obligation to pour money into Canada as part of a multi-billion-dollar sole source deal for surveillance planes signed with the federal government last year. While Boeing's pledge make up nearly 3/4 of the investments, more than a dozen other companies are also investing in the cluster centered around 3 hubs in the Montreal borough of St. Laurent as well as the suburbs of Longueuil and Maribel. Quebec is now the only place in the world where the 3 aviation giants, Airbus, Boeing, and Bombardier, are directly present, said Premier François Legault. Also, are people over in Quebec actually excited about this in terms of drone innovation, I guess, being more prevalent because of all these big company presence? And speaking about things like airplane and aviation, how about this one where apparently there was a disaster that happened with an airline? It says here, passengers on Singapore Airlines flight described being launched into ceiling when turbulence hit. Very scary. Imagine that, just being knocked around like while you're in the plane. It says passengers on the Singapore Airlines flight that encountered a sudden extreme turbulence are recounting the terrifying moment the plane fell about 6,000 feet, sending those without seatbelts into the air and resulting in the death of 1 person. It was a very scary experience. Andrew Davies, a passenger on board flight SQ321, tells People, "I fly a lot and never had an experience even close to that. I'm glad to be on the ground." Davies and 210 other passengers plus 18 crew members were on board the Boeing 777-300ER plane when it unexpectedly hit a rough air at an altitude of 37,000 feet over Myanmar Tuesday morning. I actually haven't flown in a while actually, but when you read stories like these, does this, I guess, make you more worried about flying, or do you just consider it as like a quote incident per se? Believe it or not, the rain's actually stopping here. I'll take it. All right, see you guys later.